Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where you keep going around and around about the same things? There doesn't really seem to be any kind of resolution. We're very hurt, very resentful. We want to fix it. So, a couple ways to look at things is on one side, statistically, when they do research on couples, I believe it's about 70% of the issues we have don't actually have a solution that's feasible. So the first piece is to look at maybe this is part of that 70%. So it is really important for us to lower our expectations in romantic relationships because, of course, what we see in the media and in art is this very idealistic version that really cuts out a lot of those pieces. Another piece is to notice if our relationship is going into a cycle of power and control. This can happen very easily when people struggle with being vulnerable and connecting with others. So you see people that struggle with power and control often struggle with close connections with others. They're actually a little bit threatening. And so for a healthy couple, although they might go into power control from time to time, that's not the majority of the time. When there's an argument or an issue, the focus isn't on you did this, I did this. It's more about how do we resolve this? How do we come together? How do we compromise? Because a relationship is about connection. If you find yourself in a pattern of focusing on having control of the other person or having power, so making sure they know that they're wrong for what they did, you're focused on power. The dynamics of power and control are similar to the dynamics of abuse. And there isn't going to be a healthy relationship that comes out of a constant obsession with who has power, who has control, who's to blame, who's at fault. What we need to move towards in healthy relationships is recognizing you're important. I want you to be in my life, and I'm not going to get everything that I want. In the same way that you're not going to get everything that you want. But you matter, and I'm willing to make these compromises as long as you are too. And if someone's not willing, then we need to have a separate conversation, not attacking their character, but what do you want out of a relationship? Because I don't know if that's going to work if everything's my fault. There might be some truth to parts of it, but healthy relationships work because people move on beyond that. They move on to solutions. They don't sweat the small stuff. And so, really recognize if you have a tendency towards power and control, and really start to be more mindful. Try to separate yourself from situations. Try to have different self talk, reminding yourself, I don't have to get everything that I want in order to be happy. Or I want to compromise. This person matters to me. Because oftentimes in the power and control dynamic, in the moment we're caught up in it, we say really rude things and really cruel things, and sometimes damage the relationship beyond repair. So we really have to be careful with our tongue and be careful of what we say, because the visual you could use is if you have a piece of wood and you're nailing nails into it, you can take the nails out, but there's still a hole there that you can't fill. And that's what's happening in a relationship. If we're throwing doozies and digging that nail deep into the relationship, although we may be able to pull it out, we'll always have a scar. And there can come a point where there's so many holes that the relationship can't sustain.